Hello and welcome back to Bannerlord Modded. We're here at Revyl attempting a siege, and Liena has just given birth to another baby, so that is obviously pretty nice. And apparently, according to one of you, there is an option in Kaoses tweaks to change how fast children grow up. Now, I haven't taken a look at that just yet, but I will be taking a look at that in just a second. And we're going to see what's going on with it, because I would very much like to do that. I'd like to try and reduce it by maybe something like 70% or so, reduce the amount of time that it takes, although that's more of an experiment really, more than anything else. I don't really want to be doing something too... I mean, technically that's not really overpowered in my opinion. I wouldn't say that that's super overpowered to do that. But generally, I would just like to see what our children grow up into, and just to see, you know, what's kind of going on with them. That's pretty much it. You know, that's pretty much what I'm looking to do with that. But can you guys put the ladder up already? You see that? They literally had that pushed away or something super fast. Yeah. By the way, I haven't built anything here either, so we are basically just dealing with siege ladders. And look at this guy. He's resting. He's taking a relaxing a little bit of time off. He's got his eyes open though. That's a bit weird. I mean, for someone that's sleeping, but all right, you know, to each his own, I suppose. But yes, I mean, I know he's dead, but still, let's just go with it for now. Okay, let's just see if I can murder this guy. There we go. Fantastic. Very nice damage. Bear in mind, I do not have a large amount of two-handed skill. Yes, my two-handed skill is good, and it is definitely above average, but it is definitely not something that is going to be able to beat many opponents in a duel, in a 1 versus 1 duel. These guys are going to be much faster than me, because they generally do tend to use one-handed weapons at the best of times anyway. And you can see here that I'm now getting absolutely clobbered, which is to be expected, I suppose. Oh, hello there. I did not mean to land on them in such a grand manner, but still, I guess that's absolutely fine. We can probably try to eliminate a bunch in the meantime. Oh, hello there, sirs. Okay, would you mind just leaving me alone real quick? I'm just gonna run away real fast. Very bravely running away. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so all of our forces are doing a pretty good job. Oh, someone actually said that we lost another companion in the previous episode. I had no idea that that was the case. So it seems like the companions are now starting to die quite often. And I guess I can only say that I think that's a good thing. And I don't really mind that too much, because that means that we have a little bit of peril to you know, sort of worry about and everything. But generally, I think at this point, we are probably way too... I would probably say that we are way too strong as it is, and it kind of makes me a bit sad, really, because I was very much looking forward to making this series, actually, because I thought to myself, yeah, this is going to be great, because that means, you know, we're going to foster the same kind of relationships that you might have in something like XCOM, as I've mentioned before previously in this series. I personally think XCOM is one of the greatest games when it comes to... you know, bonding you to your characters in such a close manner in comparison to what it might usually be with games of that ilk, where you basically just throw your units away. Not in a sort of literal sense, obviously, but in a sense of, oh, I don't really care about this particular character, I don't really mind what happens to them, and that's it. That, you know, I didn't really want that to be what would actually happen with this series, and it obviously does not happen for XCOM either. I mean, obviously XCOM is a very different game in many different ways, but that's kind of the sort of thing I wanted to try to emulate a little bit, but it is much more difficult to do than anticipated, which is, I mean, to be honest, this is my first attempt at it, and I don't think that it went too badly. I think that the addition of Distinguished Service was probably the main point, and I'm not trying to say that Distinguished Service is a bad mod. It's certainly not a bad mod. I think it's probably one of the best mods that are available out there right now. I'm saying, like, you know, definitely in the top 10, top 20, somewhere around there. I definitely think it is one of those that is really, really fun to use. But with the way that my companions are currently leveling up and everything, it's, I wouldn't say it's overpowered, but I would definitely say that it makes things a little bit less challenging. And obviously, that's the whole point. You know, when you're wanting to create some kind of XCOM similar experience, you know, to that, you want things to be challenging, right? You want that 97% chance to hit shot right in the face of an alien. You want that 97% to miss. In that sense, you know, it's kind of like that sort of tension where you're going into one of your first missions. I'm talking about, you know, your 4th, 5th, 6th mission, if you know anything about XCOM, and you come across a muton for the first time, or something along those lines. You know, a muton is one of those big, hulking, sort of juggernaut guys, and you think to yourself, whoa, how am I going to deal with this guy, right? And then you go with your assault guy or something right up into his face, and you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to have a massive amount of accuracy here against this fellow. And then you try it, and then all of a sudden you find out, wait a minute, I've got 98%. Okay, that's surely going to be a hit. And then it turns out that it misses. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. You know, you want there to be still that kind of jeopardy. And, well, I realize that I mentioned all of this before, so I won't go on about it. But generally, I think XCOM is definitely one of those games that is really fantastic at inspiring connectivity with your troops. And they're just random gameplay, you know, random game characters. You know, they are just random game characters, but it still does a fantastic job of, shall we say, connecting the two of you together. Okay, so Revyl has actually declared war on us right now, which is kind of interesting. And I think we're going to go defensive with her. We're going to go balanced with Sturgia. I mean, Vlandia basically makes no difference whatsoever. And defensive with the Western Empire. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to declare war against the Northern Empire, and we're going to declare war against... Wait a minute. Why can I not declare war against these guys right now? I can't declare war against the Botanians for some reason? Oh, we have a non-aggression pact with them. Okay, yeah, days remaining 29. Okay, well, that's not too bad. We can declare war against the Azurai as well. Let's declare war against them too, and let's declare war against the Crusade as well. Alright, so we're going to go defensive against the Azurai, and balanced against most others. Let's go defensive against the Northern Empire too. And there we have it. Okay, so I've increased the difficulty dramatically, and now I'm just going to take a quick look at Kaoses tweaks and see if I can increase the speed at which our children age up. Alright, so I'm back. I actually had to restart the game to be able to implement those changes, and we have now made it so that our children basically come of age at age 10, I think. Age 10 or age 12 or something like that. And we'll see how that goes. Obviously, this is not meant to be a realistic thing, and I certainly wouldn't make any children fight at the age of 10. I think that is unacceptable in many, many different ways, but for the sake of this particular series, there you go. That's what we're going to do. I can't believe I have to mention that, but obviously some people are going to take it very seriously and are going to accuse me of child labor or something like that. You know, that happens. That does happen. Anyway, let's see what I can do here against Luda's army. I would like to be able to eliminate them, if at all possible. Obviously, we are at war now against so many people that it's actually kind of amusing. So we'll see how we do here. I'm just going to go in for an auto-resolve right now. Just eliminate them straight up. And we're just going to take all of them prisoner for the moment as well. Take all the prisoners too. And then we're going to go straight on into Varcheg as well. So hopefully I'm going to be able to take this. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to even be able to get the preparations done by the time this army comes back. Yes, indeed, I was actually able to do that. That's crazy. The amount of speed that we have at the moment is really, really impressive. Let's go through to the character screen real quick, because I think I might have a perk to spend. Do I? I'm actually... Yeah, no, I don't have a perk to spend, but I have an attribute point and a focus point, and we are going to be speccing that into two-handed as well as cunning, and I have almost maxed out my attribute points. So that's going to be pretty interesting to finally see that. And some people have actually asked me, have I used anything to increase the amount of attributes and focus points and so on that I gain? And yes, indeed, that is called Kaoses Tweaks. It is in the description if you want to check it out. There is a link to the download page. It's highly recommended to use it, and if you use it in a balanced fashion. Obviously I'm using it in a much more sort of increased fashion at the moment, because obviously this is a series. I don't really want to be so stagnant, whatever you want to call it, in a situation where I am consistently waiting around fighting bandits and so on, because I don't really want to consistently do that in the early game. I'm perfectly happy to fight bandits for a couple of episodes here and there, but I don't really want to be fighting bandits by episode 10, you know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing. So that's generally the reason why I tend to use Kaoses Tweaks for that, and there's a bunch of other reasons as well why it improves the game experience in a significant fashion. There are a lot of quality of life improvements included with the mod that are not just about increasing your experience, increasing the amount of money gained from tournaments, increasing your focus point generation or your attribute point generation. There's so many different options that you have available with the mod that I can't possibly go through all of them, but you can basically customize the game to whatever experience you would like to have, and in my opinion that is invaluable. That is one of the, I would actually say is probably one of the most essential mods for any player playing Bannerlord at this point, because it just adds so many different options to tailor your experience exactly how you want it. And you can make it harder if you want. You can make it harder, you can make it easier, you can make it more interesting, and there's just so much to do. There really is so much to do that you're never really going to be able to experience all of the options in one playthrough, especially unless you just continue changing them, obviously. But what I'm saying is, if you leave them like I do, if you just set them up for one time and then you just leave them the way they are until the end of the series, then obviously there you go. But yeah, anyway, I personally think that it's probably one of the best mods that you can get, just generally because it does allow the player so much choice. It really is very, very important. Anyway, let's go for roguery, smithing, and all that wonderful stuff. There we go. And did we end up losing anyone? I don't think so. I mean, someone mentioned that, yes, indeed, we did lose a companion in the previous episode, and it said it in blue writing, apparently. It said it in blue writing, and I was thinking to myself, why is it saying it in blue writing? Why isn't it giving me a big, pop-up or a message that says, this guy perished doing this brave action, and so on? Why doesn't it say that anymore? Because it used to very much give you a big, impactful message that basically said, hey, one of your friends just died. It would be kind of cool to see that. I mean, to sort of further the serious nature of it, basically. That's what I'm trying to say here. And there we go, Liena is now with child once again, as you might expect. And now we are under siege. Hello there. Alright, so this is going to be a siege defense, possibly, dependent on if we actually do get besieged. Because he might decide not to go for it. No, he is actually going for it. This is going to be really interesting, because he has 800 units, we only have 320, so we might very well face a bit of a difficulty here. But obviously, bear in mind, I have declared war against every single faction in the game, with the exception of the Britannians, of course, because obviously we are currently having a non-aggression treaty with them. at this point, and it's kind of impossible for me to do anything about that at the moment. Anyway, I think we're going to be probably pretty fine, because it seems like most of our forces are doing a very good job with the siege and with the various ranged weapons and things like that they have. I'm actually going to open the gate up real fast. Hello, friends. Hello, friends and enemies and all these wonderful, wonderful fellows that want to meet us. Hello there, Utah. No, wait. Okay. Well, they locked me out. I guess that... I guess I kind of deserve it, right? I kind of deserve it for opening up the gate. But I guess this gives me a good opportunity to see the cinematic nature of the game as well, because just look at what is currently happening. All these units are shuffling into the walls, and there's mist, and there's snow, and there's wind going on, and there's a fiery death raining down from the sky at the same time. And we're doing some pretty nice damage with my bow, hilariously enough. How many enemies have we already eliminated? 111 enemies and counting. And that is purely from my force's ranged abilities, as far as I'm aware. I don't believe that is from... Well, I don't think it's from siege engines and things like that, but it might be. Okay, gotta be careful. I don't want to take too much damage, because obviously I would like to try and stay alive. Oh yeah, generally I could use super speed to get back in here. So for example, like... Oh, yep, there we go. Okay. I was actually thinking to myself, yes, do I want to use super speed to get back in here? And then I thought, well, if it works, then sure. But yeah, it didn't actually seem to work for a second there. But yeah, we're just going to go out there again, because, you know, using super speed to get back in and to correct a mistake is obviously not very good. It's not a good way to go. And let's have a look here. Can I... Do you think I can actually survive this? I think I might be able to. We've destroyed their battering ram and their siege tower already. Bear in mind, I do have 70% additional damage against enemy shields. So I should be able to destroy their shields relatively fast. Bear in mind, I am not using an axe. If I was using an axe, this would be a lot easier. Is that a bunch of tree branches sticking in me right now? Yes, I think it is. That is actually hilarious. Anyway, there we go. I mean, I obviously was not really trying to stay alive there as badly as I could, because I actually wanted to see what was going on here, to be honest. And look at this. I do not feel... I'm not sure. I feel kind of sorry for these guys. I don't know. I feel kind of sorry for these guys because they only have 2 ladders, and my forces are so incredibly entrenched here that it is incredibly difficult for these fellows to actually do anything. Are there any other ladders up here? No, there doesn't seem to be any other ladders. Okay, that's actually hilarious, because obviously they only built 1 siege tower, which is here, and 1 battering ram, which is also here. And so they only have access to 2 siege ladders, and that I mean, you can quite clearly see what's happening with them. So I'm just going to speed things up real fast, because no doubt this is definitely going to be a victory for us. There's nothing they can do. There is literally nothing they can do, because they made a tactical mistake. They basically should have either stayed outside with their enhanced amount of numbers, because let's face it, they had so many people outside. They had a lot of people, and it makes no sense for them to rush. You know what I mean? They did not have to rush. They could have just literally stayed out there and done damage to the walls, and that's it. That's all they had to do. and then they probably would have been able to achieve something, because they would have been able to bombard our walls. They probably would have gotten our walls down, and then they would have had an easy time retaking this town. But unfortunately, they were impatient, and they decided to charge on in, and this is exactly what they've gotten themselves into. So I do not feel sorry for them, but I kind of feel sorry for them at the same time, sort of thing. Anyway, let's go into the dungeon right now. We're just going to put all of those units in there. Over 1,200 units in there right now. Pretty crazy. And I'm actually going to go into the trade screen here as well, because we do have a number of people that we need to lock the horses out of. There we go. These guys. And this guy actually could use a horse, so that's perfectly fine. This guy could use a horse too. And him, and him, and him. And him, and there we go. All right, so let's have everyone equip the things that they want to equip, and then I'm just going to go out of there and then go back in, and then we'll just sell the varieties of things. We have so much stuff to sell right now, and I'm going to sell a bunch of the harnesses too. And I'm going to go into the smithy here real quick, because you never know, there might be some things that we want to get, maybe some new parts or something like that. Generally, I don't really care too much about smithing at the moment either, because we have created a pretty nice sword as it is, and maybe I don't really need to do more, but yeah, it might be okay. It might be something that we want to do in the future or something like that. Anyway, well, I think we're pretty good, to be honest. I think we are pretty good, and generally, I think we are way too powerful for any of the factions to really do anything. But I'm not sure. I mean, to be fair, we don't even own half of the map. You know what I mean? We don't own half of the map or anything like that. And generally, it seems like not many sieges are even going on, to be honest. I mean, just take a look at my combat strength right now. I have... Oh, okay. Well, I have a pretty significant amount of combat strength. I was actually not expecting to see such a large number, but we have 20,000. Yes. Okay, I think yes, I think we might... I don't know, we might be done. Yeah, we might be done. What do you think? I'm not entirely sure. It might be one of those things that we just have to call a day, to be honest, because we just have so much combat strength. I don't know whether they're going to be able to really do anything. Ekarand is okay, I guess. I mean, I'm going to send a messenger to him. Oh yeah, someone said, why am I persuading all these guys? All right. The main reason why I'm doing that is because I actually wanted to see how strong we could actually get, and I also wanted to see if it was even possible to be able to persuade as many people as I was actually able to, and that was it. It was basically just a bit of an experimentation right there. Obviously, there is a number of reasons why you wouldn't want to do this, obviously, if you want to make things too easy or anything like that, but I basically wanted to make it so that we would have the ability to declare war against absolutely everyone, and that's exactly what we've done right now, apart from the Botanians, of course, and then just see what happens, basically. Also, I am going to be creating some additional clans right now. I'm going to make Polmarc into a leader. Going to make him into a leader, so... I'm going to reward him, and we're going to give him Revyl, I believe. Yes, we're going to give him Revyl, there we are. And we're going to be calling him... Oh dear. Death Gaze. There we go. Death Gaze. Because obviously his name is Deadeye, so Death Gaze kind of makes sense, right? Right? Doesn't it make sense? Kind of? Yeah. Maybe not really. Yeah, well, never mind. Okay, and we're gonna make... Who else? I have no idea. What about this guy? I have no idea who this is, but we're just going to reward him as well. We're going to give him something like... Guarantor Castle, and there we have it, and we're going to call him... Polmarc. Do you get it? Do you get the joke? I'm actually not entirely sure whether this is way too esoteric or way too I don't know, out there for anyone to get. But if you look at his name differently, so if you don't call it Eckhard, right? If you don't say Eckhard, you say Eckhard. e-card, Hallmark, because they sell cards, and they used to sell e-cards, but not anymore. But yeah, there you go. So Hallmark, not sponsored, not sponsored. No. Okay, so wait a minute. I do need to speak to e-card. I find that amusing. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna give him 200,000. There we are, 200,000, fantastic. And we're also going to be speaking to Polmarc. Can you please stop, Mr. Polmarc? Thank you very much. And I'm gonna give him 200,000 as well. There we go. Okay, so he's gonna be fine. And there we have it. Okay, so we have even more lords now. Technically, I could make even more. You know, my companions. I mean, I could generally just continue making lords as much as I possibly wanted to. I'm gonna make peace with Vlandia right now. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't, so I'm gonna make peace with them because they don't own any land anyway, and it might make sense considering we might be able to even persuade some of their other lords to join us or something like that. Oh yeah, also I wanted to mention, why am I giving castles to the lords that are joining us? Okay, so the reason why I'm doing that is because obviously I don't have enough money to be able to persuade them in the first place. I actually was lacking in funds to be able to even, you know, fulfill the criteria for them even joining to begin with. And I'm giving them castles because I want to trade castles with them. So for example, if I don't do that, because they're not at war against us, so if they're not at war against us, I'm not going to be able to persuade them to come over to join us with their fiefs intact. So I'm going to have to do it an alternate way, which is obviously to give them a fief to take control over, while also taking a fief from them. And that's the reason why I had to give more castles than I would have liked to, because otherwise I'm going to have to spend all of my money, and I obviously don't really want to do that. So that's generally the whole logic behind it. It's not particularly pretty by any means, but it is necessary, at least in my opinion, because otherwise I'm going to end up losing land for not much, and I kind of wanted to maintain as much land as possible, as much territory as I possibly could. So that's the reason why I decided to do those trades. Because if you do it that way, you make it so that you maintain control over that territory rather than it defaulting back to the enemy lords that could potentially be the liege themselves, and then they're going to be able to gain even more cash, and then it's just going to make things very, very difficult in the end, because then they're going to have massive armies, they're going to have unlimited funds to spend on mercenaries and all kinds of manners of things. So obviously, if you understand that, then that's great, because I'm generally pretty poor at explaining stuff like that. So if you did understand that, then props to you. If you didn't, then I completely understand. So yeah, anyway, let's see if I can just murder some of these friends right here. Friends, murder. And that is going to be it, I guess, for this siege. Mazhadan Castle. Pretty simple thing for us to take. And there's Vlandian Sergeant. Actually managed to get a bunch of kills, which is actually quite nice. There we go. And we got some more renown and all that wonderful stuff. And we got some more troops, some more prisoners. And then I can make my way back over to Varcheg as well and just slap them all in there. And we're just going to claim the fief once again. Actually, I don't even need to make my way back to Varcheg. I could basically just stay here, and I mistakenly clicked on the Lord's Hall. Of course, as you might expect me to do. Alright, so there we go. We're going to manage the castle a little bit, and I think that's probably going to be it for this episode. So I'm not entirely sure whether we're going to be continuing the series at this point. Because on the one hand, I think it's actually a lot of fun, but on the other hand, I also think that it might be a sort of inevitable conclusion at this point. Because, I mean, almost 21,000 combat strength, the Aserai have 5,000, the Crusade have 8,000, 5,000 for the Northern Empire, 6,000 for the Southern Empire, 3,000 for the Sturgians, and 4,800 for the Western Empire. I can't declare war against the Battanians just yet, but they only have 2,000. It's not looking good at the moment, let's just say that. But I'll tell you what, We'll do one more episode after this, and then we'll see what's happening. Because what I'm actually going to do is off screen, I'm basically just going to go back to, I'm probably going to go back to Varchek or something like that. And I'm basically just going to hit the wait for some time button. And I'm literally just going to wait there for, I don't even know how long. I'm basically just going to wait there for maybe 2 seasons or 1 season at least. And then see where the game is from a status point of view. So in other words, we'll see how all the factions are doing, we'll see how their combat strength is, and we'll see how our combat strength is, and whether any of our people have actually expanded. And I'm going to put everyone on offense as well, so that we see exactly what happens. I think it's going to be kind of interesting, and otherwise it will be one more episode at least. If it is the final episode, then there you go. And thank you for joining me along this journey. This is obviously not the final episode, but I just wanted to thank you nevertheless if you don't stick around. And otherwise, I'll see you next time.